I'm going to dive right into this. So my session is related to where we fail when we use automation, and we lose contact at certain points of the process when we start to automate things. So let me tell you a story. I started my partnerships journey when I had just done government sales. And if you're a salesperson or have been a salesperson in the past, you've been exposed to a lot of automation because, volume definitely plays a role in your outreach. And for me, selling to government organizations, it was definitely necessary because you needed to get in front of people. Contact information was public, so it's very easy to lean into automation. So when I joined Vidyard for my first partner role, I was the partner enablement manager, and I was tasked to help out more than 100 agencies in my book of business. And if you know about agencies, they require a lot of handholding and a lot of information because that's how they work with their clients. Their business model is focused on delivering a lot of value and a lot of strategy as well. And so, 100 different accounts and multiple people to reach out to. I knew that they all needed the help as well. So how should I go about this? Well, unfortunately, I leaned into automation. And what happened when I did that? I sent out a bunch of emails. I, crafted the perfect message and put it all into the one specific email. And then I blasted it out and no one responded. So the automation had some drips in it as well. And the tone of the message was not as human as it should have been. And so this is actually kind of ironic because at Vidyard, they would talk a lot about how video really helps with adding to your communication and adding emotion to it. And I kind of had to backtrack. And I think this was a really important lesson because when we think about the volume play, when we think about getting in front of potential partners or existing partners, we almost always default to how can I make this as efficient as possible because I have my day of meetings to get to and I have everything else that I have to plan for. But what happens is we lose that human touch. Now, there are ways to do this at scale, and I'll get into those. But what I think you need to focus on when you're keeping that human element to your communications or to your interactions with partners is try not to make it too serious, and also try not to have it focus on just you and what you need to accomplish. You need to focus on the partner every step of the way. And so after this realization, and of course, it was technically a failure where I didn't get a response to all of those agencies that I needed to reach out to. What I decided to do was I decided to change that message. And the way that I changed that message, and this is the framework that you can implement yourself, and I'll get into some tactics as well. But that framework focused on why you were doing that action in the first place. What is the actual outcome, and why would your partner actually take action for responding to you? And what that results in is you can start layering in more human elements to your message. Now, the thing you need to apply to your message is, removing that formality, adding in some things that are exciting to them. And of course, I'm going to say that you should use video because that's exactly what I did. And the delight that you give when you bring a human element into your communications is going to stand out from a lot of the other communications that your partner is getting from either, all these 100 other partners that they have, or even in the regular communications that they have day in and day out. And so how this actually manifests in keeping the message human is by focusing on keeping the wording personable. I use a lot of heys in my messaging. I don't always say hello or hi, definitely not dear, sir, or madam. I say hey. Sometimes with people, I'll even say yo. I use exclamation points. I throw in emojis here and there. And of course, you don't want to do this in every single relationship that you have with your partners. But adding in these little bits of, not using the decontracted words or, big words and long sentences. Basically, like if you think about how you text your friends and what you send to your friends or, even your coworkers, that's how you should be communicating with your partners because, the feeling that you get when you engage with your friends and coworkers is probably a good one. Why is that? Well, it's not just because they are the people that you work with and the people that you already know, but it's because the way that you communicate with them is not super formal. You don't go to your friend, hello, Jonathan, I'm very excited to see you on Saturday at 3 p.m. You won't really do a lot of that in your friendship. So keeping the wording personable is going to be very impactful for that. And use multimedia, send memes if it makes sense. You won't always send memes, but send memes, send images. Maybe you're somewhere and you're saying, hey, sorry for the delay. I was at this conference. Send them a selfie of you at the conference. It adds that human element. And it takes you 30 seconds to do as well. And then, of course, another way to add multimedia is use a video. So the thing that you can focus on in this is, again, keeping the wording personable, using multimedia, and I would say being ruthlessly clear with your message. When you're clear with your message, the action will follow. And what I mean by that is don't have long sentences, use less commas, be so specific in the why you're reaching out. Achieving this will do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And, this person is going to do this. This is your task. Make it extremely simple for them. And this will then drive that CTA of the message. And of course, it will produce action with your partners as well. And so, as a summary for the tactics, be personable by not using too formal of language. Use multimedia. So, when it's appropriate, use an image. Sometimes use a meme if you want to. Use emojis when it's appropriate, and use video as well. I would say the most appropriate across all situations is going to be video, because you can screen share, you can do a talking head video, and that's really going to help to get the message across and be a message that is engaging to your partners as well. And the best part about the videos, and this is where we can tie it back to a scalable process, the best part about these videos is you are able to make a generic video that you can send to multiple people, and that generic video will be much more engaging than any email that you send. And the benefit of this is, of course, they're going to be more likely to respond and engage. And you don't necessarily have to personalize at every turn. So what I would recommend is, if you're delivering a good amount of information, or if you are trying to get in front of partners, whether it's through a new partner that you want to prospect into, or if it's an existing partner, try using a video, and it's going to stand out. And if you use this across your channels and how you communicate with your partners, then I'm very confident that you'll stand out, because you communicate so much more in video. That's why we have a video on right now, and I'm not just in the chat typing away. So that is my rapid fire, how you can bring the human element into automation and still scale it. And what I would say is, like, there are also tools out there that, of course, that can help out with this. And so obviously Kiflo is a tool that you can consider. And then other tools that focus on, the automation piece, like Superglue is one out there. I saw Rob in the chat. And so what this allows you to do is really segment how you're communicating, because you don't want to just blast out one message to everyone. You want to make it very specific of what persona is getting what message, when are they getting it. And then, of course, as you segment further and further down, the message technically becomes more personalized, but it doesn't have to be specific to that person. And so if you're using the things that I talked about today, again, more personable language, multimedia, especially considering video, and then also segmenting the actual message for the specific persona, you can bring that human element, but still scale those communications where you're not spending too much time sending emails or creating videos, but you're able to add in the emotion, again, through the video, through the multimedia, through the personable language, and then also a scalable process that you can make it generic, but then also targeted to those specific personas. You have a question, and Philippe, you came on, so we can answer it together. How does your personalization approach deepen or change for new versus existing partners? That's a good question. I would say you should personalize for the highest tier accounts, and that doesn't necessarily mean the highest tier being the ones who are going to give you the most, but also the ones who need the most attention. So let's say there was a partner that was really struggling, that you've had them on as a partner for 8 months, but they're just really struggling. I would say you should personalize more, because then you're delivering more success and more of a connection with them. And then also for the top tier accounts of, it's a big account, you really need to stand out to get in front of them. Definitely personalize there because they're going to have more people reaching out to them as well.
Mhm. And just to add on that, Will, the tone is very important. So the tone you're setting in the conversation you're having between a new partner and an existing partner is going to be very, very different. Okay. We still got to be
Absolutely.
human. As you said, we've got to focus on them and their needs. We've got to try to get to know them, be personal, and use many different types of medias to get out to them and reach out to them. So I think, yeah, the tone is super important on how you speak to your partners. And between new and existing partners, it's going to be a completely different tone.